What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is your buddy Dr. drphoenixsingh, your personal academic mentor, coming at you with a response to a valued viewer's question. Today's question comes from Kaylee, so big shout out to Kaylee. Thank you so much for writing. If anybody has any questions or comments, make sure to put them down in the comments section below, because I love hearing from you guys, and I love making videos to be able to respond to the questions and comments that you have. If it's a high sensitivity question that's going to be of interest to the majority of our around 15,000 subscribers right now, I'm more than happy to be able to make a dedicated video on the topic, specifically with a shout out to you. So let's go ahead and get to it. So this is Kaylee's question. It was posted on a video that I made called Top 10 PsyD Programs in Clinical Psychology. Can I ask you guys as well, tell me in the comment section below, do you want me to make something like top 10 worst PsyD programs in clinical psychology? If you're interested in that, let me know and I'll make that for you. And I'll focus on things like the lowest match rate universities and this kind of stuff, or ones that are currently on probation and those things. So okay, here's Kaylee's question. Kaylee's question was, I was curious if you thought going to a school like Baylor, and so those of you who don't know, Baylor is a Baptist university, so the Baptist tradition is one of the Christian denominations, and Baylor has one of the only PsyD programs, there's a handful of them now, but one of the only PsyD programs which is fully funded. And remember that PsyD programs, you're going to walk away with an average of $125,000 to $150,000 of student loan debt, unless you can fund everything yourself, which would be great if you can, right? But there are also some programs where tuition is, $250,000 and over, which is insane, right? But it is what it is. So Kaylee said, I was curious if you thought going to a school like Baylor, which is a Baptist university, is a bad idea as a non-religious person. Now, if you guys watch the channel, you know two things. Number one, that I was a super hardcore atheist for the first part of my life, up until I was 22. And then you'll also know that now I'm a Christian. And so I see both sides of this issue, so I completely understand what the question is. So I typed a response to Kaylee, but I thought that this was a really good question, so I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to be able to give you my response to this one. Is it a bad idea to be able to go? I don't think it's a bad idea. If there's a university where the program is very strong, especially the PsyD program is very strong, the match rate with an APA practicum sites is particularly high. It's something where the median length of graduation, right, in terms of coursework is 4 years. These days I'm seeing a lot of programs now, whether it's because of COVID or something else, now getting to like 5 years and above. Let's try to keep it, just remember, the goal of grad school is to get the hell out of grad school, right? So if it's still 4 years, fantastic, right? And remember, you can find all of this data online. It's all accessible. And if you don't know how to be able to do that, make sure to watch my videos on how to be able to find an APA accredited PsyD program, because I go through how to find this kind of data, okay? So it's a bad idea if you find that kind of a program, which has professors who maybe you even know them when it comes to not just personal connections, but also having read the peer-reviewed research literature, so you know them, or you've run into them, you like them, maybe you've watched YouTube videos of them, or you take a look at kind of their areas of interest and you say, wow, this is a really good fit for me, or there's a particular concentration or a track which is very niche, or it's something where you have geographic limitations. You basically have to, because of family obligations, because of health issues yourself, God forbid, you have to be in a geographic location, right? And so you know that that's kind of, one of your options is a program that is religiously affiliated. Let's say that you're Christian, there's so many denominations, maybe it's a Methodist tradition and you're Baptist, or, there's a million different examples here, right? But it could be something like that, or it could be something where the university is a traditionally Jewish university, for example, and you don't happen to be Jewish, right? And so forth. The idea here, though, is just to remember that the quality of the program is not contingent upon its religious affiliation. There are some universities, and you'd want to look into this, where the faculty member are required before taking the position to be able to essentially sign a declaration of faith. And this essentially means that they are basically saying that they, agree to uphold, right, in this case, Baptist tradition, right, and that they essentially just respect that this is a Baptist institution. Right now, to be honest with you, I have not heard of a case where students have to sign something like that, a declaration of faith, but there's certainly cases where a letter of recommendation is required from an individual who is affiliated with the Christian church, a pastor, a priest, a vicar, and so forth. I just ran into this with a consultation client last week, so I know for a fact that this is something that does happen specifically for PsyD programs. also be aware that there's some programs like Pepperdine, for example, and Pepperdine is a wonderful program, a little expensive, but it is a good program. And Pepperdine came under a lot of fire because I believe it's gay marriage they're not supportive of. And this was a really, really kind of contentious issue. And initially, I just kind of didn't believe that that was a thing until I kind of Googled around and found out that that was in fact the case. And Pepperdine, in fact, put out a formal response to it on their website, so you can find that by Googling. And so it's just one of these things where, just because it's something that you in your personal life have very deep beliefs in, let's say one direction, maybe it's a very conservative direction, maybe it's a very liberal and progressive direction, regardless, right, you have to accept that these institutions, these universities, if you're going to enroll in one of their programs, you are on their turf, right? They are not going to adapt to be able to change to be on your turf and these sorts of things. So maybe you're somebody who's, let's say, very conservative, and the place you go is very, very into social justice, right? Social justice initiatives, which may be something that your particular views don't happen to align with those. Or it could be the exact opposite of that, right? Very conservative university like Liberty, for example, in Virginia, where I spent a summer as a teenager and thoroughly pissed off Jerry Falwell. If you ever want to hear that story, I'll make a video for you. And it's just one of these situations where just remembering that the classes that you take, right, and the content that is delivered may be taught through the lens of that faith, okay? Or it's possible that a number of the electives that are not APA core courses that are going to be taught, they may focus more on spiritual aspects of therapy, and obviously those courses, even though perhaps they'll cover a variety of different religious traditions, it would make sense that they would focus on a particular religious tradition, in this case possibly the Baptist tradition, right? And these, of course, are the types of questions that you can always ask an admissions counselor. Very rarely does an admissions counselor have direct influence over whether or not you get into a program, so you don't need to be afraid of something like that. If you're really freaked out about asking that kind of a question, don't forget that it takes about 5 minutes to make a new Gmail account, and you can essentially just, call yourself Suzanne Struthers 1989 at gmail.com, whatever you want. And then you could literally send an email just saying, my name is Suzanne, I'm really interested in applying to the program, I had this concern, da-da-da, and this way you can get the answer to that. And this is if you're really shy or if you're really worried about what the answer could be and so forth. But I wouldn't be afraid about asking something like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.